What's going on, everybody? Mano Elia here. You're about to watch an episode of the Study of Stuff podcast. My interview with Father Deacon Ananias. What an incredible conversation this was. I've never steered you wrong when I've told you that. It's incredible. And never because of me, but because of my guests. I love this conversation. It really felt like just me and Father Deacon Ananias just chilling and hanging out. We covered a lot of ground, talked a lot about his childhood. There's a side of Father Deacon Ananias that you'll see in this interview that I don't think you've seen before publicly, and it was great to see. It was amazing. His stories just genuinely killed me. I laughed a lot, and we covered a lot of ground: philosophy, theology, community, culture, music, and just a great conversation here, guys. Check this out. I know you'll love it. I know you'll enjoy it. Word to Big Bird. Okay, before we begin, want to do a little prayer?
Yeah.
Take us through a prayer. Let me just get my hat off.
Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, now and ever, and to the ages of ages. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from the evil one, through the prayers of our Holy Father, Jesus Christ our God. Have mercy upon us and save us. Amen.
Thank you, Father Deacon Ananias. Appreciate that. It's the best way to start a show.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah, I had Father Paul on yesterday, and we started off with a prayer too. I'm going to start continuing that. I've done it a couple times, but usually I do it off air. Now I'm going to start doing it on air. It changes the vibe right off the kick.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so let's get this started. First of all, my entire audience most certainly knows who you are. One reason I know that is because you're one of the most demanded guests. So many people for the last definitely year, maybe two, when are you going to get him on? When are you going to get him on? When are you going to get him on? And you're like one of the top on the list that keeps being requested. I could see why, especially after I came back from Florida. Your talk, your lecture was actually one of my favorites. And I'm not just saying that because you're on my show. It hit a lot of key things that kind of brought me back to orthodoxy. A lot of the way that you broke down philosophy and how it mixes together, and Athens and Jerusalem, and it was especially the mirror image thing when you were going through all that stuff. Okay, we'll get into that. I don't want to break it down too much because I'm already getting excited. I really enjoyed it. I liked how you delivered the message. It hit home for me. So I want to start by first of all saying, don't worry about rants. This is like, my show is pretty chill. Like even this, it's totally an informal introduction. So please don't feel like you're talking too much. Just go. My goal is to set you up and let you rock and roll. If you could just start off by kind of talking about your youth and your introduction to music, because one of the other things that I saw you do live when we were in Florida was play a lot of music. You and Neil jamming out. I saw how much you loved it. Also, I said on a couple streams, you during liturgy, your voice carries. You filled the room. I'm not just saying that. Like honestly, it was impressive. There was like Buck and I were talking about it. Me and Justin were talking about it. So clearly, music is a big passion of yours. Church life is a huge passion of yours. You exude it. I saw it firsthand. So how can we tie all this together? Your youth, introduction to music, church. So let's start there.
Yeah, so I was introduced to music early. I think the first introduction to music was I was in grade school, and I grew up around the corner from my grandfather, who was like my mentor and my best friend. But he bought one of those I'm trying to remember what whirler organs, but it was the ones that like they had like three different, and then they had you could do the pedals and like things were awesome. And then you could do like different you could put I want a samba beat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that thing was awesome. And I took some lessons and stuff. I never got like super good at but I knew kind of like chords and stuff on the piano, and I liked music. And then I'm trying to remember, probably in junior high, maybe, or my freshman year, I got I found it in was left over from my parents or something, but it was like a mini nylon guitar with, one of the shorter ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And nylons are really cool to learn on. They're really easy to play. And exactly, yeah. And it was interesting, my musical progression. I kind of grew up a thug, but I was in, when I was in grade school, before I went to like a religious, a Christian school, I was into, and that was early. I probably got into hip hop and rap and not the pop stuff on the radio. 89.
Okay. The Public Enemy and stuff.
Yep. I think the first thing it did is I watched the movie Colors,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah,
I was like, "This is kind of cool song,"
yeah. Yeah.
like for Ice-T, and it has that. And I was like, and it's like Colors. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Public Enemy. I'm trying to remember all the other. Old stuff like Homo D and like then there was like Slick Rick
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
then some of the early gangster raps like Eazy-E and NWA and like all that kind of stuff. And then when I went to then I kind of went into Calvary Chapel, and it was kind of moved out of the public schools. It was kind of hoodie, and like everybody was like, "Why are you listening to this music?"
Yeah.
Because I'm gangsta, son. That's why. And so, anyways, at that time, I got exposed to, and I had all my parents' like LPs from the '60s, and so I got into that, like the classic rock. And they were like the original. Was listening to vinyl. Nobody was doing that.
Yeah. 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 Same.
And then I was like, oh, I really like this. And then by the time I got in, when I was in high school, then I had, in the '90s, in the early '90s, the punk and hardcore scene was, and I got introduced to like going to shows, and so my music started becoming like really eclectic. I really kind of, I liked the classic rock was probably the largest point, but like I was being exposed to like a bunch of different stuff, and cool kind of punk too, not the pop stuff like 7 Seconds, Agent Orange.
Yeah.
I went and saw Black Flag and
Okay.
Greg Ginn play, and I had friends that were like. And they had to remember there was a Christian hardcore scene too. So I had friends that was in this band called Bloodshed. Remember Tooth and Nail Records and stuff like that. So I'm saying all this because all these experiences, whether it's music or not, but like all these different kind of experiences, God actually forms you into who you actually are. And then, but I was a thug, still like, even though I wasn't like, like hip hop gangster or something like that. Like I ran with a bad crowd and did bad things. And God used that. What men intended for evil, God intends for good. And I got really into psychedelics. But the one thing is, noetically, I never doubted God's existence, the Trinity. Like I knew it in my heart. I just doubted people. I was like, well, obviously these people don't know what they're talking about. And I think that kind of saved me, you know what I mean? No matter where I kind of went, because I remember friends are like, well, you can't do psychedelics and be a Christian. I'm like, said who? The Pastor Pope Chuck Smith up here on the pulpit. Like, give me a break, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if God will show me. I trust in Him. My God will show me if it's. But there's a whole kind of music scene with that, and the psychedelia and stuff like that. But another important thing that didn't kind of emerge until later. We had a private ski club in Angeles Crest Forest above Pasadena and stuff, and there were two like kind of mom and pop ski resorts in between there. And I would ski there, and one of them, it was crazy. It was owned by like a Mormon family, and all of their kids played bluegrass. And so at the end of the day, at the ski day, you go into the lodge, and they got all the kids come out, and they've got the mandolin and the guitar, and the comes out with the fiddle, and I was a pretty big stoner at the time, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever. And I'm like, the community, right? I'm like, I don't know what this is, but like, this is really cool. And it kind of connected to, some of the music. I know something that was really influential to me too, is that in 1995, I went and saw the Grateful Dead.
Okay. I didn't expect that.
And I had no conception of what that, I just had these kind of preconceptions. I'm like, it's like a bunch of like hippie, hillbilly kind of, I'm like, I don't know what. And then I went to this concert, and again, this kind of communal, and all of this is kind of leading up to what we're going to be talking about, what importance of community, that, even in false religions, if we're looking at like Protestants, there's always something good about it. Nobody can be 100% wrong 100% of the time. It's just they don't have the kind of context, the whole. They don't have the true faith to take the right things and put them in the right context. Yeah. And so I think I'm, seeing these different things and these different elements. There was like, there's something good about, the punk and hardcore scene. Like I liked I was like, there was a community, you know what I mean? And I personally, I really enjoyed fighting straight edgers too. I hated straight edge. I love Minor Threat.
Yeah.
But, what's funny about the straight edge, and they were a big deal in Southern California.
Oh yeah.
Is first of all, they were vegans.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yep. Oh yeah.
And they were such moralists. And I remember in high school thinking, where did they, and a lot of them were atheist, if you remember.
Yep.
And I was like, I knew even before I got into philosophy and apologetics, I'm like, what a stupid cult. Yep. They have no grounding for these ethical, but they really were trying to be ethical, and it came off wrong. And so I was just like, well, then we should fight them. And you probably remember that in the hardcore scene, these groups literally fought each other.
Oh yeah.
I was like, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Duke out. And that, that's another good thing about the 80s and 90s is conflict resolution. I miss the days where it's just like, hey, kids and guys just fight it out.
Yep.
Right? And work it out, and you learn stuff. It's such a tragedy that we have internet. Sometimes I think about that, you knew growing up back in the day, you ran your mouth and you say stupid stuff and you get popped in the mouth. Yep. And you learned. You grew up. Yep. And you learn to become a man through that. And even through bullying, and I know that bullying could get too far, but like generally speaking, I don't think it was a good idea that we just utterly eliminated it.
I agree.
So, that's the kind of culture that I grew up in. We fought. Yep. And I remember I had friends once that were like, we're going to teach you how to fight. Like you're a coward and you need to, and I'll never get over this. This is before Fight Club.
Okay. Yeah.
20 years, probably 15 years before. Yeah. They were calling people up and they were like swarms out, like ready to fight anybody.
Yeah.
Like get over to the house. Right. I must have fought 10 people. I was bludgeoned. I was bloody. And I was kind of like a hippie kind of guy, but like God bless my friends, man. They like saw something. They're like, we got to make him stronger,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they threw me in the ring, and they toughened me up, and I appreciate that about that. And we don't have that. We have this kind of anonymity.
Mhm.
People can say whatever they want. There's no consequences. They're hiding behind the internet, and so I kind of miss those times. But that was obviously kind of formative, and in my character, I definitely can see that. And so whether and seeing, if you remember in high school too, here's another thing I'm noticing the differences. We had cliques, we had groups.
Yeah. Yep.
And I actually joined hanging out with different groups. We had the greasers.
Me too. Yep.
They all worked on the cars and went down to the Hootenanny, and the we had the punk and the hardcore, and kind of more hippie, and like I was just and the hippie wasn't really hippie. It was kind of like Dazed and Confused. It had that kind of 70s, and then we literally had like the Chevelles and the.
I remember
And
this.
I loved it. It was so cool. What you'll notice now is a homogenization.
Yeah.
So, and this also ties into music too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I ask students about music or film, like classic stuff that everybody they have no idea.
Yep.
And one of the problems is, is technology, and the internet, and these kind of algorithms where it starts choosing it for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you didn't have choice. Let's say TV, right? Before there was even cable, right? You had 12,
Mm-hmm.
2 of which were just like static.
Yeah, to get the rabbit ears out. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so we all knew what Matlock and Murder, She Wrote, and
Yep. It's true.
all these different. Well, the radio was the same way, right?
Yep.
You had these different. So you didn't have. It wasn't chosen for you. So now what's happened too is this kind of homogenization. I think the largest, and it's really strange, especially for like the largest consumer. I think rap and hip hop is probably one of the largest.
Yeah. Now. Yeah.
Yeah, and the largest consumers are white kids.
Yep.
That don't live in the hood.
It's so true. Can I pause you right there just 1 second, because you nailed so many things that I love talking about on the show, and I'm so happy you touched on a lot of stuff, even like the clicks,
Yeah.
all of that stuff, and the fighting and keeping people in check. That those are super important. But then you went into like the culture of like how television was, radio, and all of that, and how the internet kind of contrasts that. There was like that middle point of the internet where you kind of like exposed you to other
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
That was healthy.
The MySpace era.
The MySpace, yeah, which was awesome. And
Yeah.
it's like before we would complain about the monoculture, where like we all like would experience like late night shows together, and you would go to school whether
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
a hippie or a metal kid or whatever. You all had the same reference points.
Exactly.
And
Amen.
and we at one point we criticized that. Then we had a little bit of an opening with the internet, but now it's like these little echo chambers of opinions are also the same with scenes. And the algorithm kind of like just shoves crap at you, and you don't have to go out there and like go digging through crates. Like remember
Yeah.
digging through crates and like finding some weird album, like this kind of looks cool. I'm gonna take this back.
Yep.
That whole thing. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You just got
Well, it's
excited.
interesting. One of my friends, Ryan, who I grew up with in high school, we went all through this stuff. By the way, I got into reggae too. And by the way, I had dreadlocks for a while.
No way.
Yeah, I'll have to give you a photo so you can.
100%, please.
And it was. I have a godson now that lives here in Montana. He was the first one to get me into Steel Pulse.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then we took his girls, who had never been to a concert, to the first concert here in Missoula, Montana last year at a Steel Pulse con. And I'm like, isn't it crazy how it's like full circle? We're all Orthodox now. Yeah. We're at this concert together watching Steel Pulse. And they're old, dude. It made me feel old. Like,
yeah.
He was like,
your audio went out. Did you get excited and hit a button? That's so weird, like because he didn't touch anything.
How about now?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So what I just did is I just switched it from the default, which is it still lists the preamp, but I switched it off the default into. I've been learning about all this weird tech stuff, like,
Okay.
but they're like complicated. They're not like boomer tech stuff. Like people are all making fun of me on the stream. I'm like, actually, this is not boomer tech. I was having some audio problems that had to do with interface issues and finding the right drivers. I'm like, that's not boomer tech. I'm like, that's actually really complicated.
It is.
It is. Anyways, so I got to it so fast because I've been doing these troubleshooting things.
So going back to these things that kind of come like full circle and stuff like that, and my godson, and or Steel Pulse, and so that was another genre too that was I think an important influence. But one of my friends who was also into like reggae, and all the same, we all grew up like at the same school, Calvary Chapel. He's Orthodox now.
Okay.
And he's a high school teacher in Tennessee, literary teacher, and he had a really good point, and it's going to connect all this. Like the great point that it was so synchronized, and the way that you said that do you know that people are right brain deficient? In case you haven't figured that.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
Autism's super high, right? This is being deficient in right brain. And this kind of lack of this narrative and whole and like this creativity and stuff like that. And we were talking about this, and one of the things, the internet's made this worse, search engines, right? Because if I want a topic, right, I tell people this on the Discord all the time. I'm not ChatGPT. Quit asking me.
Yep.
Don't use me as like an algorithm to. Okay. So when you wanted to look up something, you can't just go on the internet. The internet, and this fits with music and movies as well, will just tailor your search, right?
Yep.
It just pops up and it's actually, even if you don't do that, it'll feed it to you anyways. Well, back in the day, when you didn't have internet, what did you have to do? You'd have to go through all of these books looking for something.
Yep.
And then you pick up a book that's not even connected to, and you're like, oh, that's interesting.
100%.
And then you make a connection that's not connected, right? Music's the same way, right?
Yep.
The TV is that, in one sense, we're all connected because it's not being algorithmically tailored to just fit. And so even though you're in these different genres and we're all exposed to the same stuff. People don't have that. And further, what that allows you to do is to make connections.
Exactly.
To stuff. There's nothing left like that anymore.
Correct.
It's all,
There's
you will
no pattern
never.
recognition. So yeah, there's no pattern recognition. And that like, now that you brought that up, here's a good example of I don't know if you've ever seen this, With Nail and I. You ever seen this movie?
Is it upside down? Am I going blind?
No, it could be that it's backwards on my thing. It's With Nail and I.
Oh, okay.
With Nail and I. I think it's supposed to be backwards. It's anyways, this movie is one of my favorite comedies, and I went to back in the day when you used to go like flip through VHS and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just the cover popped on, and I was like, something about this cover. I took it home randomly looking for something else, and it's one of my favorite comedies of all time. Just sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but this is like a perfect example, and I was looking at it this morning thinking about exactly what you just said.
And by the way, I bring up in teaching philosophy, I bring up references all the time. I thought stuff that everybody knew, like movies, never even seen it. And I told them, I'm like, you know what? You need a whole course on cinema, not to mention music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, is anybody teaching it? Well, it just turns out I get called, a couple months ago, I get a text from my chair. We need to talk. Can you stop by my office? I'm like, oh, great. Okay. Now, we're complaining about me now, right? So I'm working up in my head, like my defense. I'm like, I'll just tell them it's freedom of speech. I can say, you don't like my call. Like I'm working myself up. I get in only to find out. He's like, I'm going on sabbatical. I want to know if you want to take some of my courses. And I'm like, oh, sure. Philosophy and film.
Oh, get out of here. That's awesome.
Isn't God good?
He's great.
I'm like, here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe what was Stand and Deliver? how do I reach these kids?
Dude, that's great,
Now I
man.
get to reach the kids.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, like that's really important. My brother's. If you haven't met my brother, I'd really like. He's a sound engineer, 2-time Grammy music producer in Los Angeles, and it's really interesting talking music with him, just because the people he works with, and he's like, it's crazy. He's like, there's people that. Here's the new thing. You know what the most popular music is now?
No, I'm afraid to ask.
You are afraid to ask. You just, like, we'll just end the stream right now. We shouldn't even talk about it.
Okay. What is it? I'm scared.
You'll once you hear it, you can never unhear it.
Okay.
Are you ready? Are you sure? Are you sitting down?
I think so.
Audience, are you sitting down?
Okay.
TikTok. There's literally TikTok superstars. He's like, they're bigger than ever. Like bigger.
I know.
They've never been in a studio. They don't even know music really.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, that's so crazy. That's the biggest thing right now.
I believe that because and also the way that they're doing it, like because there's a lot of those TikTok kids, especially after COVID, they all stayed at home and they do like virtuoso videos where they're like ripping on a guitar, but they can't write a song, they can't jam. Like they can write a song, but like they lost the magic, the godliness of writing and also jamming with other people. Like that's completely lost. And those TikTok superstars just full of that. Sorry, it just drives me nuts that you said that.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to bring it up.
It's
but,
okay. It's okay. It needs to be talked about.
But so both I think and you could probably speak to this too. There's like, it's always cool. Like when you find a musician that you like, you're like, what were your influences?
Yes.
Like, where did that, and those are my influences that formed, I primarily play bluegrass and stuff like that now, which comes back kind of full circle. Like, and I didn't even get into playing bluegrass until I moved to Montana. So again, I had the seed sown early on where it's like, I had a really remarkable experience. Like I saw something. I'm like, this is awesome. This is awesome community. Also, there was a connection with the Grateful Dead too. Because once I saw that, I'm like, there's something cool about this community.
Yep.
And then I found out that Jerry Garcia like started playing bluegrass. So I could hear in his licks and stuff like that and hammer-ons and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, those are bluegrass stuff. Like I could hear his influences from bluegrass. And then really didn't start playing it until I got to Montana, because I felt that, if we had any folk music of United States, it would probably be something close to bluegrass. And bluegrass is really interesting because it comes over from these influences of like Irish and British folk music that's coming over, comes into Appalachia, right? Kind of absorbs within the culture and then comes out its own kind of thing, right? And rock has its own thing kind of too, where and blues and stuff of taking like and then especially like Afro-Cuban jazz is a really interesting thing where you're taking these elements from these odd like rhythms that like we would never play that come from like Africa, right? Then comes into like Cuban folk music, which doesn't actually sound like jazz, then comes over to the United States, absorbs something, and then you get Afro-Cuban jazz, right? Like, isn't that a weird... these combinations, right, that if you can connect these things and it produces like these wonderful, beautiful things, whether in music or once, in character or something like that. And in each of those kind of elements too, I saw whether it's the hardcore punk scene or the dead scene, the reggae scene, the Rasta, that I saw, like, I always liked community. And I remember I had this crazy idea when I was a kid. I thought it was psychedelics. I thought I'd cite my own Charlie Manson psychedelic cult. And I'm kidding.
Well, here's a guy who figured out how to get everybody on board. Drug them. But the thing is, it connected to my Christianity at the time, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember I had this experience with one of the guys I was telling you about, a friend of mine, where we took these. I was really into psychedelics and religiously, and thinking about God, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't know no better. I really thought, right, I was like doing right. Same. And so we went out into the mountains. We'd taken these mushrooms, and they were really, really strong. And we had my friend and I were just introduced to kind of philosophy. We were like getting into apologetics groups and stuff. We're about 18. I think we're 18 at the time. And then one guy was an atheist. And the other guy grew up Christian. And by the way, this is really interesting. It's right when I started figuring out about conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
This is 1996, by the way.
Yeah.
Which oddly, weirdly enough, kind of like matched up with all this weird dispensationalist theology I was being taught at Calvary Chapel. I'm like, okay. They're like, oh yeah, man, like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard this story before. So anyways, we were getting all this, like, the first time I was hearing this, like, kind of information, and they were like, yeah, man, you didn't know your pineal gland's calcified, man. They're sending in, it's the Illuminati, and there's a one world order and government, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, like they taught me this at church.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, well, this is. So, anyways, one of my friends who grew up Christian, he was going and he was seeing this. He was getting all this information. This lady had like tons of like just like conspiracy files, but she was like literally a witch, a Wiccan. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, here's how the story set up. I hope you don't mind telling me. This is a hilarious story,
please. Though. Yeah.
So we take these. We get like a bunch of Duraflame logs in our sleeping bags, and we get our guitars, right? Because my buddy and I were musicians. We played, we're into music, and it's like, yeah, we take the mushrooms and you go out and go out into the woods. It sounds like a good time, right?
Yeah.
We'll play music together. It wasn't a good time at all. Like, they started, like, my friends started fighting. So my first friend, who was an atheist, sat in a bottle of water.
Okay.
And got his butt all wet.
Okay.
And he just kept tripping on it, like the whole beginning. He was like, oh man, he's like, my butt's all wet. And like, I'm like, and it just that was like his seed that like eventually spiraled him out of control. Then my other friend, and my two buddies, like in the middle, we're just out having a great time. And he's like, you're going to hell. And my friend's like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, what do you think was going to happen? He's like, you're literally going to a witch, dude. And like, we're completely out of our mind. I'm like trying to play music, and I'm like, I don't even know if this is my guitar, dude. Like, it was like changing shapes and stuff, and like, try tuning a guitar. I'm like, I just can't get this. So I'm all like tripping out on the, and I was convinced that I picked up. I just turned my guitar. I had it fixed at Guitar Center. I picked it up, and I thought for the life of me, I'm like, I must have picked up the wrong guitar. Somebody's. And my friends are arguing, and they're getting into theology. And then they were like, hey, you can't argue about this stuff in front of Nick. I didn't know what they were talking about. So supposedly my buddy Nick was, thinking about God years earlier. I don't know what happened, but he ended up in a loony bin. Like, he had a mental break. I don't know what was going on, but like, he couldn't deal with it. I don't even know what he was thinking. And then he came out an atheist.
Okay.
Which is weird, which is probably what the mental, like, now that I think about it, it's probably the mental health institution that did like, well, what your problem is you're crazy because you believe in God.
Yeah. And plus, because he was also on like probably like a lot of psychedelics that already created a
No,
schism.
he hadn't even taken, like, poor guy, dude. It was like the first time I ever gave him like psychedelics. He had never taken them, right? I didn't know that. It was like, you know what we should get, guys? We should get our buddy. They just got out of the mental institution and give him a bunch of psychedelics and talk to him about
he got
God.
out of the mental institution and then you gave it to him? Oh.
God help me.
I shouldn't laugh.
Well, I didn't know. Like, I'm finding this out when I'm totally out of my mind. I'm like, you mean he just came out of a mental institution?
I shouldn't have laughed at that. Okay.
No, it is funny. Like,
Yeah, it's heavy.
and I'm like, oh, that's crazy. And so they're like, yeah, you can't talk about that stuff. It'll throw him back into a relapse, into a mental psychotic episode. Wow. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. So they went out and away from him to have this conversation. Not a conversation. They were like, it was a full-on debate, dude. They were like, and my mind's just going crazy. I hear them yelling at each other, and then all of a sudden I hear this like cracking, and I'm like, is that an axe? Is he chopping him with an axe, dude? Like, wait, did this debate get out of control? Like, I could have sworn I heard him scream, ah! And I'm like, what is going on? Half this stuff's just probably in your head, right?
Yeah,
but you're just like, hey, man, I don't. And then I look over my buddy, and he's sitting in the fire. I'm all, it's like flames are going. I'm like, hey, man. I'm like, you're on fire, dude. And he was like, he was still tripping on earlier that his pants are wet and he couldn't get it dry.
He's trying to dry it.
He was trying to dry, but he's totally out of his mind.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, you're on fire, dude. You got to like get out of it. And he's just like, oh no, man. He's like, I just can't get my. And he's starting to spiral out of control.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's a hilarious story. I love telling it.
Oh wow. Oh.
And then I got a thought.
Okay.
Something. Oh, God help me. There was a guy named Odin Fong, who, interestingly enough, was part of the Brotherhood of Eternal. Like, he was hanging out with the Brotherhood of Eternal Love that produced the largest amount of LSD ever produced.
Yeah.
Timothy Leary was part of that and stuff like that. Yep. And then he had a religious conversion and converted to Christianity in the 60s or early 70s. I can't remember when the...
Like actual Christianity or like Jesus freak stuff?
He was Jesus freak stuff.
Yeah.
And guess what he became? Speaking of Jesus freaks, he became a pastor at Calvary Chapel, and he would come to Calvary Chapel, and he would give what do Protestants? Do they even call them sermons anymore? He would preach or something. I don't know. He would tell these, and he was like, "Whatever you do," like, and he's like, don't go out to Silverado Canyon, Holy Jim Canyon, those areas. There's witches out there, druids and stuff like that. In high school, I just tuned on my wow, this guy, dude. Yeah, he was like, whatever you do, don't ever take psychedelics. You open yourself up to the spiritual world. That's what's really interesting is about a lot of stuff that I thought was nonsense that, the Protestant teachers and pastors, like, they're actually right about a lot of stuff. Yeah. Because they were wrong about so much other stuff, I didn't believe them. And guess what? That thought came into my head. I'm like, oh, where am I? I'm in Holy Jim Canyon, exactly where. And what am I on?
Yeah.
I'm on a substance that opened me up to the spirit realm.
Yep.
And I'm a Christian.
Yep.
And I don't think that, like, I think I've opened myself up to something. And as soon as I said that, like, a wind started blowing through the tree, and I was like, what the heck? And I started I couldn't figure out. Sounded like people put chimes, wind chimes up there, and I'm like, people climb up, and I'm like, dude, is that like a witch thing or something? And then I started hearing laughing in the trees and voices, and I was like, oh shoot! I'm like, I've got a beacon on me. I've opened it up. I opened the door that I wasn't supposed to open, and I'm in the spirit realm, and it says I'm a Christian. I'm the enemy. And it was true, dude. It came after me, and it was awful. Everything became demonic. Everything was moving with demonic faces. And it got so bad I blacked out. I was like, everything was melting, faces and demons and like, I'd never seen anything like that before. And then I stopped seeing visuals. Like I just went black, and it was just like hell. It was just my soul. It's like, you know what a perfect example of it? Pascha, the tomb, when all the lights are off.
Yep.
I didn't even think about that. You're in the grave.
Experience. I had a similar experience. Yep.
And then I could feel like stuff going in and out of my soul, like I was being tormented. And it felt like, if you ever heard like a really bad news, or like you've done something really bad, like gut wrenching, and it's in the deepest part of that's what it felt like. And I was in agony, and I was in utter darkness. I wasn't even hallucinating.
Yep.
It was just black. It was the grave. I don't know. And then I was like, a thought came to me, and it was like, you forgot something. The cross. You're a Christian. And I noetically, it wasn't a visualization. It's hard to, because we use visual like analogies, but it wasn't visual. Like, so bear with me. Yeah. I noetically, and it's the same thing you can do in the Jesus prayer too, right? Because first thing you do is you quiet your mind, then you get rid of any visual images, right? Until you're in the prayer. It was exactly that. It was a noetic Jesus prayer. When I was 18 years old, in the form of a cross, like it wasn't a visual, but as if you could visualize it noetically, but without the visualization. And I embraced it. Like, just, I'm a Christian, that's my savior. And, man, it was super intense. Immediately, dude, lights on, and I'm back. I can see everything. I'm still now I'm hallucinating, right? And my friend is screaming and crying in fetal position. I was like, and dude, I was just like, I picked him up in my arms, and I'm like, shh. I'm like, I've got a word for you. I'm like, quiet. I said, Jesus Christ. And he's like, what? I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm listening to the word I'm saying to you. And it started pulling him out of the experience. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I just kept repeating. It was the Jesus prayer. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy upon me. So before I even knew it, I was 18 years old.
Wow.
And he was like, yes. I'm like, say it. Say it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And I could hear my friends still arguing in the woods. And I'm like, hey, man, come down here. I'm like, get out. I'm like, I figured it out. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And they were like, what? I'm like, just say it. And it totally calmed down the whole situation. And two doves, I kid you not, flew over.
Really?
And we're still hallucinating. So there was like this mist trails, like tracers coming off. Like it was like colored rainbow mist coming down. And it was like grace falling upon. I was just like, whew. I'm like, and my friend turns to me. He says the craziest thing. He says, there are no atheists. The atheist says there are no atheists. There's only those who deny God exists. He was like, take anybody to the abyss.
Amen.
All the stuff stripped away. There's no more excuses.
Yep.
When you're at that point, it's either death or God. It clears things up. And suffering's much like this. I told you about, and I'll talk to your class about what my wife and I went through. A student asked me, struggling with a couple years ago, how do you prove God's, and I have all these questions. I'm like, I can make it really easy for you. You're not going to like the answer. He's like, what? Thinks it's an argument. I'm like, horrendous extreme suffering. Do you want all this stuff cleared up? He thought I was going to give him some philosophical answer. I'm like, a traumatic experience like that clear. There's nothing you can hide behind anymore. It's just you and God or the pit, right?
Yeah.
And so that was a remarkable experience for me. And unfortunately, I didn't know what to I wasn't Orthodox at the time. I didn't have like a holy person to kind of guide me through. And so I was like, well, that's really easy to convert people to Christianity. I'm like, because I'm studying apologetics, I'm like, I'm going to go back and forth arguing with these people. Or I could just give them, 10 hits of acid or something like that, and then they'll just see God, and that'll be the end of the argument. It took me a while. Actually, part of what got me out of this, a lot of different things, but I watched, there's a documentary you can watch, and it's about, it's called The Good Friday Experiment. Have you heard about this?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go tell it. It's great.
So crazy.
Yep.
So I don't remember if it was Harvard Divinity School or Yale, one of the Ivy League. They decided to do an experiment on their seminarians. Can you imagine this? And they had a placebo and a control group, and then they had a group that actually underwent it. But they on Good Friday, they dosed them with psilocybin.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going to like church or liturgy and being like, let's pray to the Lord. And they're having this experience, and they probably have that's I heard is one of the worst when you don't know what you didn't know you just took something, and then I can't even imagine what that's like. But they went through this. And then they gave a report, they basically recorded it and stuff like that. And then they sent it off to theologians, various different types of, Christian theologians. Probably not an Orthodox, but among those, they didn't tell them what happened. They just asked them to read these stories to see if there was a genuine religious experience.
Yep.
And they said it was. Now, I think this is kind of problematic, right?
Yep.
But in the documentary, they had a guy who was a theologian, and you know what he said? Grace on the cheap. I'm like, oh. He was like, you imitated an experience that would take saints their whole lives to get to. And it's a counterfeit.
Yeah.
The demons always do this, right? They can do magic, right? But notice, right, in the Old Testament, the snake can't last, right? It's parasitic off of reality. It's unreality. It's a magic trick. It's sorcery.
Yep.
That's what psychedelics are. Yep. They give the illusion of a counterfeit religious experience. And the way that you judge a genuine religious, does it change the person? Have you met anybody from taking psychedelics that acquired the spiritual virtues and changed?
The only thing I've noticed, and I think you'll agree with me, because my last situation kind of led me to this. It made me know that that's not the way.
That's exactly it. Yeah,
it's kind of like lustful, like being in a lustful situation versus like with someone that you love before you're Christian. You realize instantly the difference. Instantly, you know the difference.
Yeah, and I always thought what men intend for evil, God intends for good. So he can work something good out of it, but that it was not the means and pathway to salvation and the spiritual virtues.
Absolutely.
I know, it's like psychonauts, they're the same as they have this remarkable, it's life-changing, and I saw, this and that, and I was able to figure this out. The same as they ever were, right? Yeah. Like that's, that was pivotal in, I think, me kind of waking up, this is wrong. Like, this is not. And then also another experience that one of our friends, he, during this period in time, developed, had a psychological break and developed a schizoid affective disorder. And, at 18 years old, I'd never seen mental mental illness or like let alone something like that. And, we were just kids. It was so scary to watch your friend completely unravel. And I started to get a feeling that this might be dangerous. And then I had another childhood friend, just randomly. I hadn't seen this kid since we're like 12. I get this letter. Mom was like, hey, Jonathan left this letter. Like, somebody wrote a letter to Jonathan. He's like, I'm sitting under your tree and blah, 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 thinking about our childhood. And he's like, I feel like I need to tell you something. Don't ever do LSD. And I'm like, well, that's weird. Because I was at the height of I was about ready to go out in the desert and take 20 hits and like finally see God face to face. And I get this letter. And he tells me this story where he'd taken like 10 hits of acid and he couldn't see where he was at, right? And he heard these footsteps, like he was in a hallway or something like that. And they were getting louder and louder and faster. And he had this instinct to like, something's coming after me, got up and ran and broke out through a glass window and fell four stories onto concrete and cracked his head open. And he's like, I was in a coma for like 6 months. Thank they were going to pull the plug on me. Thank God I survived. And I'm severely brain damaged now and I'm deaf, but I'm writing this letter. And I'm like, well, that's kind of odd.
Wow, for real.
Yeah. So all these kinds of things were like kind of a wake up call that I'm like, I don't think this is going to work out as an apologetics program.
Probably not.
Maybe I was wrong but my heart was in the right place. I just didn't.
Yeah.
Again, just like the things we were talking about, you see good elements and stuff, but you don't have the context. You don't have the whole. You don't have the Orthodox Church to put that in. And I wanted a community. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I had my group of friends, and I was like, yeah, man, we're going to go to the thrift store, and we're going to dress up as like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And we're just going to be crazy, and then we're going to teach people about God. Like I had these crazy, we're going to play music, and we're going to have this kind of commune, and like all the stuff with the conspiracy theories is all kind of, that's what I thought. But what did I really desire? Real community.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And these things are good. Music, all these different things. It's just, there's no kind of guiding light or hole to kind of contextualize. And so I found my purpose in all those things that were good intentions, but there was no guide. There was no way to kind of like, where am I going or where do I put it? All came into perspective in orthodoxy. And I think you see that, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And, part of the Montanica experiences is to pull from my experiences. What did I learn? Like, it's all about community, 100%. Communion.
Yep.
I'm ranting, but I needed to tell you that story.
No, you're not ranting. You just this is what the show is. Like, I actually try to set my guest up to do this. So please keep going if you need to keep going. Like, don't feel like you're ranting.
So, all those experiences kind of coalesce into, and whatever you're doing in life, whatever God has you do, draw from those experiences, right? I'm like, I learned from that. One of the things about Montanica is that, you'll love this story. Bishop Maxim, I don't know if it was like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, because he's been here twice. He asked me, Deacon, well, what is the conference about? Mm-hmm. Now, typically, I think this is a good thing to do. You don't have to answer questions right away. I said, can I get back to you? And I want to think about it, right? I don't want to just off the cuff be like, well, blah, 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 blah. And what I did is I walked around the conference and I looked. Christ said, takes the spittle and spits and puts it in the deaf man's ears and says in Aramaic, "Epata, be open." Right? And I was just open, like I was just soaking it in. Just look and see. Just watch the people's faces. Watch the interactions. Because I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing at this conference.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I'm going to look and see. And then it came to me. I'm like, I got it. And I said, Your Grace, no offense. The question really shouldn't kind of presupposes that there's this top-down plan. That's the world. Right? I'll emphasize the eschaton, create this utopia, whether it's political on earth or something like that, centrally plan a city. I'm like, that's not orthodoxy.
Yep.
I'm like, I didn't plan anything other than what? I brought people together.
Yep. Amen.
And we just do what what do they do? Hospitality.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? Community. Right? All I have to do, your eminence or your grace, is get out of the way.
Yep.
I can facilitate bringing people together. And then I watch, because what was going on was not me. I didn't orchestrate that. Because people were like, that's so cool. How'd you got all the papers to line up? I'm like, I didn't do it. The Holy Spirit did. Where two or more are gathered, right? And specifically that means in terms of the liturgy, right? But we're liturgical beings.
Yep.
I'm like, there he is. Like, and he teaches. I'm not the teacher. The Holy Spirit, right, is the teacher.
Yep.
Which is Holy Trinity, which is interesting enough. It's Pentecost is and I'm like, that's the answer. All I have to do is now it's hard work facilitating getting all those kind of like the money and paying for the ticket and all the, but
your audio went out again. I'm leaving this into the episode. I don't think it's me again.
Now
there you go.
Back to default. See, I do. Okay. When one fails, I just go to the next. Happening. Other than the demon tech demons don't want me to obviously talk about this.
I get them a lot.
So, anyways, but I realized it was everything that I was searching for, right? Those communities and what I wanted. But what was going wrong with when I wanted to do these kinds of things, it was me trying to orchestrate it.
Yep.
I was trying to create a scene, or I was trying to. That's why it didn't work. I mean, one of the reasons. I mean, other.
Can I pause you just 1 second, because you're nailing some stuff that's really important to me in my life and the way I'm approaching things and the way I'm seeing things or trying to understand or learn. Especially with Father Paul. Last year he mentioned it a few things, and then again yesterday he did the same thing. And actually, you're touching upon it. It's almost like you guys sat down and talked about it and ahead of time. Could be.
Well, we grew up together too. By the way, that's why we have a shared common history too. So yeah.
Makes sense, because a lot of what you said, actually, even with the interview that you did with Buck, you said kind of similar thing right now, which was you were talking about how you consume content in terms of like books, reading books and this and that, and writing your lectures. You said you didn't approach it where you had like, I'm going to write about this, and then you go looking for the answer. You would just read stuff, and then you would kind of allow it to organically pop in your head. It's like, Holy Spirit.
That's the right brain. And guess what I learned from Father Paul?
What?
We were having a conversation a while back.
Yeah.
He's like, Deacon, he's like, I think the noose is associated with the right brain. Now, we don't mean this in terms of literally
I know what you mean.
Geographical location in, but categorically.
Yep.
So if the left brain is piecemeal, propositional, abstract, quantitative, the right brain is not. It's holistic. It's not bottom up, right? It's kind of Gestaltian. It's the whole, right? It is what Dr. Ian McGilchrist calls the master. The left brain is the emissary.
Yep.
And the way that I do my philosophy and like even music is the right brain.
Yep.
That's where the creative space, that's where allows it's a different aspect of the brain of it's not thinking in this kind of linear discursive way. You let it, your brain, if you get out of the way, your brain will actually do it for you.
Exactly.
Your nous will do it for you. You'll start making the connections. Then I can go over to my left brain. But a perfect example, have you ever studied music theory?
A little bit. I have a relationship with it.
Yeah. Well, good answer, because it's not going to help you write music.
No, that's why
It's not going to help you be a better music. I mean, maybe on a few things, like, I can't find where if I want to do.
Well, I get in trouble for this conversation often with all my music buddies, because even from the beginning, there's I knew what I kind of wanted to do musically, and that was just like create my own sort of sound, kind of like be like my own thing. And I always found that when I learned music theory, or even like I barely know what chords I'm playing. I don't want to know what the rules are, so I don't want to know what rules I'm breaking. There's that, and also even cover songs, I'll avoid them because I find the next thing I try to write, it'll kind of sound like it. So to answer your question about music theory, I was never interested in it. I kind of didn't want, before coming to Orthodoxy, I would have said I didn't want the magic taken out of it. Now I would say I don't want the Holy Spirit, the connection I have with God or wherever these songs are coming from, because they're not coming from me.
It's just two separate parts of the brain. Yeah, it's I do my people. I might sound very, academic and kind of nerdy left brain. I'm like, that's not where my philosophy begins. It starts with the intuitive part in the right brain. There's something wrong about what this guy's saying. Just the same way that you'd be like, I don't know what that dude's deal is, but like he's off.
Yes.
And I don't trust it.
Yeah.
And you can hone in on that. You can actually develop that skill or technique and stuff like that. And then what I do, I start there. Or I'm like, there's something here. I think there's something to the...
Your audio again. Your audio again. I hear
it's got to be some type of interface issue with this thing too, and I'll have to figure that out later. But I'll just keep, if it comes up like that, I just switch back and forth. Because it switches, so it'll go down on that one channel, then I flip it over to the other. So forgive me, everybody.
No, it's the best part of the
Thank God I'm not losing my train of thought. But then I can take stuff that I've developed in my right, or that I start in my right brain and hand it over to the left brain. I could do that in music theory. Like I start with the sound, I'm like, oh, maybe I tighten it up or and figure out some stuff. Philosophy is the same way. I could throw it over to the left brain and then throw it back over to the right brain to explain to people what it's like checking my work in mathematics, right?
Yes. Correct. Yeah.
So I found it interesting that Father Paul had actually said, Father Deacon, the nous would be, if it was to be, so it would be the right brain. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yep.
That's why you're never going to, you don't know God through arguments.
Correct. Yep.
Or propositions.
Yep.
You know him through, where's my book? The experience of God.
Yep. It's true. It's true.
Not the rational deduct, any more than I know how do I know my wife? Well, because I just typed all her properties in my Kantian calculator 3000 nomadic, and it gave me, it's crazy. We're actually doing that with these dating apps and stuff. I just realized that's so sad.
It's so true.
That's not how you know somebody. You know somebody be becoming incarnate communally with them in an immediate experience. Now, immediate means there's no thing mediating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If we see this in iconography, so what in the West, right? The vanishing point, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The vanishing point goes in. Why? So that you're a spectator. You're viewing, so you can be like, I can quantify it, proposition, right? I'm. Why is in the East there is no vanishing point? They call it reverse perspective.
Yeah.
Why? Because it brings you face to face with the person.
Yep.
Right? And person right? Prosopon comes from the mask of the playwright, like the literally faces to face, right?
Principle. Yeah.
Now, if I come to you, this is gonna be weird with the camera, but if I came to you face to face, I'm not looking at, I don't know what shoes you're wearing, you're right.
Yeah.
I see you,
Yep.
right? I'm not a spectator. I shouldn't say I see you. I'm experiencing you, and in experiencing you now, I know you. But if I remove back and I put whether propositions or I'm spectating or something like that, I am not knowing you.
Wait. Yeah. Okay.
And so this is what the West has wrong, is that they think to know God is to create abstract propositions are only true if the actual experience is true. If I say my wife has brown hair, that proposition is only secondarily real.
Yep.
And it's only true derivatively so. Why? In virtue of the actual incarnate, inhypostatized person that's my wife. Right? So the West has it all backwards. We'll all know God through, what did I say in the paper? They put their first things second and their second things first.
Right.
That's what.
Right.
That's why I knew
Right.
God in my heart. That's why my friend, the atheist, who then converted to Christianity, said there are no atheists. We all know. St. Paul says all men know God through what has been created, his invisible attributes. Now, if it says all men, right, that includes 3-year-olds, right? He's saying all of humanity. Is he saying no, only those who went to college and studied Aquinas' 5 ways and took all these philosophy courses and made these rational deductions?
Correct. Yep.
Children don't even have a language, and he's saying they know. But then St. Paul goes on to say, but they suppress the knowledge of God, either through their sin or what? Right? Not having an immediate experience with him. By building systems and talk and chatter and all these distractions of life. In fact, Blaise Pascal is probably the closest Western philosopher to orthodoxy. He says if it wasn't for all these distractions, there would be nothing more clear than the existence of God.
That's true.
Is that cool?
That's very cool.
Good guy. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that even takes me into by the way, I hope you're okay with it, that we're like just gonna bounce around here. It ties in really well with the theme of even Montanica and talking about nature. I wrote that down because it goes to like the absence of everything. You're face to face with God. You're face to face with Christ. You're face to face with the truth, the reality. If everything else just goes quiet, we don't have all this garbage around us. What else would be there? And in terms of like nature, it always used to annoy me. This is pre-Orthodox. It used to annoy me that we would say, I'm going into nature. I'm going to experience nature. I'm going to, well, meanwhile, we are part of nature. We are nature. Like we're reflective of it. We're part of it. There's no distinction between you and a tree in terms of like a God-made thing created by, being part of nature. So what I wanted to like tie in was like, that theme of Montanica and nature, I know I took it out of context of how you meant it because I went on the site, I was looking at it, reading nature and all that. But I think it fits in perfectly with what Montanica is all about. Like,
well, you're right. By the way, when I picked that word nature, it wasn't just nature out there, the hike, Mother Nature, I guess.
Right.
It's the theme of all nature, right? Okay. Your nature.
Yes.
The nature of hospitality, community, the nature of liturgy, the nature of prayer, and nature.
Yes.
And like you said, and it's all one. Yes. It's all part of the same. Yeah. So you're spot on. You probably didn't know that, but
no, I did. That's because how I was just kind of interpreting it based off like things I've heard you say in the past. Can we tie that in? What's going on with Montanica this year? I mean, like we don't have to get there now. I'm just saying, because there's a couple of things. Give me a second here, because I don't know how to frame this for you, because I want to set you up and like you just knock it out of the ballpark. So what we're just talking about nature there. A lot of the themes about community, fellowship, coming together, looking for that click that you were looking for in high school, but later on you found within the Orthodox community. I mean, I saw it face to face when we were all in Florida. I was actually pretty quiet in Florida, and one of the reasons I was quiet in Florida is I was just taking it all in,
like me and like, watching. Oh yeah, it's so
what
good.
What is going on here? Like, this is crazy, and just watching everyone kind of come together, that fellowship thing, and then also what you were talking about in your talk in Florida about the mirror image of a mirror image. Right, so can we flip that and kind of like the solipsism? How did you put it? Like the solipsism of the circle is like you were quoting Father
Capodistrius.
Yes, and you're talking about something like the solipsism of circle and anonymous reason, something like that.
Hold on, I'll pull up Father. Yeah, I want to find his Father.
Because like I have I want to tie something here and see where you go with this.
Yeah, go ahead. While you're doing that, I'll try to find.
So if you could take like nature, this solipsism of the circle, the mirror, watching the mirror, versus what you were even doing now with the camera, looking at me and talking about reverse perspective, where we're made in the likeness and image of God, and we're called to look at each other as such. Me to look at you as such, and you to look at me as such, and all of that, and bring that together, which is kind of the opposite of a mirror looking at a mirror. Because a reflection of a reflection is going to be a circle. It's going to be like what's that called? Like an infinite loop. You know what I mean? An infinite loop where it's like looking at itself, looking at itself, looking at itself, looking at itself. Is there any way you can tie all of that stuff together?
Oh, I gotta go. Hey, no, I'm joking. All right, by the way, I wanted to find this quote from Father Capodistrius, just so I have it.
Yeah.
Solipsistic circle of autonomous reason.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, it's a good. And what's funny that he used that is Father Capodistrius unknowingly used that because I think it's in orthodoxy, but not knowing that phrase was specifically worked out by myself. In fact, tying into Father Paul, the group, the apologetics group that I met Father Paul in 1996, and we're part of apologetics. He was my first Orthodox experience contact, and the group was called Dialogue, run by and founded by Russ Mannon. He was the one that actually kind of coined that term, autonomous epistemology. So I found it interesting that he was he used that term. But yeah, I wanted to make sure we got that. So the question was tying this into. What was the first question?
No, it's okay. Tying that in together with like the mirror, staring at the mirror, that reflection, like it kind of creates like a feedback loop of like reasoning. It's like circular reasoning, and contrast that with nature and how we're supposed to view each other, made in the likeness and image of God, and reverse perspective, as you just kind of came to the camera and you're talking about we're looking at each other almost as like we're God looking at God without saying it, in a blasphemous sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so how the fall actually begins?
Tell me. I have my
looking away from the Trinity. Every sin begins by a looking away. That's why demons are just distractors. Like, look over here, look at what about this, and what. They're just getting you to look away. How does St. Peter begin to sink? He looked away. What happened with Lucifer? He's beholding the Holy Trinity, God, and all he did, the first movement would be to look away, and he looks down at himself. There's the biofeedback loop. And he gets a thought. So each thing produces another thing. So the looking away, looking at oneself, right? Because we were created to behold the infinite, right? The infinite triune God, the uncreated, right? And so we would look away, we begin to break in. There's a whole kind of theory about this, even with depression and stuff like that. and this kind of biofeedback loop. But the devil does this. He looks at himself and he gets an idea, a message from himself. You're beautiful. In fact, he was the highest created, but it wasn't in the context of God because he looked away. So he's in a biofeedback loop. You are God. You should be God. Like this kind of.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah.
And then he loses himself. Why? Because he's right. His identity. There's only one in all the icons that has in the icon I am. We are not. It's to say he is and everything else is not. And any being that we have is only in virtue in the context of the I am.
Yeah.
Right? So if you look away, you lose yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
And you uncommune yourself. Why? Because you're created in community, every single person. This is the difference between modern, every single modern philosopher, but modern politics, left or right or so, anything, libertarian, whatever, it starts with what? I, the individual.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And Descartes starts with what? Cogito ergo sum. I exist, then God exists.
Yes. Yep.
But if you look at the way antiquity saw it, and this ties into kind of nature too, there is no individual I because you're born into a community first with your parents. You literally don't exist without a trinity, without a community. And the state is the same way. You're not an individual unit, and the state's an artificial construct to keep, your fellow man from killing you and enter into a social contract. Nature itself is communal. So if you break away from that concept, and the concept is grounded in the first principle, which is Trinity, the triad.
Yeah.
So if you look away at that and you look at yourself, I exist, I'm God. I'll build this whole modern philosophy or political utopia based on me. It's Luciferian. But the problem is you lose yourself. You unravel. This is what happens with people in depression, right? They're self-focused, right? Even, and I don't mean that in a pride. It's not that they're prideful. They're looking at themselves. Oh, I'm a burden, and if I just, they don't actually looking at the other human being because they're sitting looking in them. So part of cognitive behavioral therapy and these things is to break them out of that biofeedback loop. And sometimes it may even be, I know Father Hans talks about this. He'll have somebody walk out into nature and start paying attention to the details. So now I'll say as a deacon, let us be attentive. That's it. Let us attend. Be attentive to look at every wrinkle in the leaf, the various colors, the shades, listen to the sounds, right? Right? Because what you're doing is now you're getting into immediate experience with what? Nature, but your creator. Why? Because the divine energies are immediate, and that's why St. Paul says all men know God through what's been created. Why? Because God is immediately in the creation in his divine energies. He's both transcendent in his essence and his energies. He's actually, as St. Paul says, in him we move, live, and have our being. You hear the voice of God when you remove these things and you have the immediate experience and when you attend, right? And it gets you out of that biofeedback loop, right? And we can do this with persons too. When you see the person, when you stop as a spectator, when you start mediating and have immediate experience, you experience the true nature of all these things. The nature of the human being in the human person, the nature of hospitality. What happens in our sin when we look away or we experience a moral harm or trauma? Guess what happens? we're excommunicated, and not by any pronouncement. We pulled ourselves out of the community, and as Dr. Timothy Patisis says, the opposite. This happens in war. The opposite of war, he says, is not peace; it's liturgy.
Oh yeah.
They've been excommunicated, and they need to be recommuned. That's what. And all these things, that's what's going on. You're losing yourself. You're unraveling, especially in a modern world. So the conference is to bring people back into communion, to reconstitute their very being, which is their nature. In nature, right? There's all these different things. In the nature of hospitality, in the nature of community in music, all these different things is what I'm actually trying to do in this. Why? Because modern man, you've lost yourself and you're coming undone. Like you're held captive and it leads to death, like suicide. And Christ came to bring us life. So that's kind of the motivation behind this conference, and kind of tying these things in. And so what happens with the mirror image is this theme of the mirror. When you're the mirror image should be, we're made in the image of God, right? So the face-to-face should be on this. And as St. Maximus has taught, even with the icon, right? That the icon, like, for example, the prototype, obviously we know this isn't Jesus in the ink, right? Like,
Yeah.
but he's present in there, though. He says the way you are in a mirror. Your image is literally on the mirror, correct?
Yep.
But it isn't the person itself, right? That's why we're not idolaters, right? So that when I pray, right, to the icon, I'm not praying to the materials of which the image adheres, but to the one who's on the other side. And if he says the one in the mirror walks away, the image on the mirror goes away. Right? But they're in a tight bond. And so what happens is what I explained in the paper is that when Christ, like, we're made in this image. Have you ever wondered why in the Christophanies he's a man? It's not an image of simply, that's like a future image transposed as a pre-incarnate, like, because that's what he will look. That's what he does look like. So that when he becomes, man is made in his image, so that when God, in whose image we're made, becomes man, he becomes a mirror image of himself.
Yeah.
That's what St. Maximus says. Yeah. So what we don't want to do, because what? We're not God. But this is what modern man does. Thank you very much, God. I'll make man in my own image. And when he does that, right, it's an inversion of the incarnation.
Yep.
God by becoming man, becomes an image of his image, as St. Maximus. But when modern man walked away. Remember not a thing he could
see that coming.
The minds were all the same. Conquer was his goal. He built his great empire, and he slaughtered his own kind. And what? So finish the line. And he died a confused man.
Yeah.
It's a great song, actually. I don't even know how that came to me, but anyways.
Keep going, man. You're rolling here, dude. Keep going.
Modern man, he rejects God.
Yeah.
And the created order, nature itself, the order of being. And then he becomes Luciferian. I am God, and I will then create Golem. It's literally golems, right? If you know the story of the Golem, and it's crazy about the story of the Golem actually ends up trying to kill his creator too, slaughtering his own kind. Like, it's really interesting. But the inversion of the incarnation is that man makes himself in his own image and becomes a mirror image of himself. That's the biofeedback loop. But because he's actually creating the image of God, who's the only one that could become a mirror image of his image, he loses himself and he unravels and he loses his own mind and he slaughters his own kind. That's what he literally dehumanizes himself, and it leads to death. It leads to suicide. It leads to all those things. And we call man to become truly human, to reconstitute. He's been excommuned, right? We're fallen. We've experienced moral trauma and evil. And notice how different that is. People want to escape to nature to find peace. It's good. You should escape to, but it's not peace, it's liturgy. Nature of the entire world is Eucharistic and liturgical and sacramental. And that's what the conference is about, and you'll see that, right?
I love that. Oh, I love that so much. Sorry, keep going. That's the way you just tied that in. Oh, wow. By the way, forgive me, I called you dude. Forgive me.
I love it.
Deacon Ananias. I got lost.
Father Deacon Dude Ananias.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to say it publicly because I think we should always respect
That's right.
clergy. You tied that in so amazing. Like, honestly, because I threw so much at you. I'm like, okay, how's he gonna do this? And you really did.
Well, that's my ADD right brain. Just let it just.
You pulled it off.
But isn't that interesting? So, by the way, my teaching, I've gotten some, in the last 15 years of teaching, got some bad reviews that not structured. Like, he's all over the place. And
that's how I work, man. That's how I work.
So, what I'm not like, do you know what I don't do? I don't write out lectures.
Yep. I do. I know exactly what you mean. I find that to get the depth out of conversation, to get the depth out of a lecture, to get a depth out of thought and connect it to heart, as we would see, try to get as close as you can to a clean noose, it requires to kind of from afar seem like you're doing that. But if at the end of the conversation, at the end of the lecture, you tie it all together, all those pieces and fragments have that aha moment. And when you give someone that, when they have that, they take that with them forever. They'll remember that. It makes impact. It's impactful. And I think that because of a lot of the things that we talked about today, the distractions, the even the way a conversation is nowadays, it's not like left brain, right brain, all this stuff that we're talking about actually fits. Even talking about making it in the likeness image of God, feedback loops and all that. When you see what modern conversation looks like now, and I know you recall what it used to be. It wasn't just waiting for your turn to speak. It wasn't just waiting for, as the person's talking, you might even be quiet, but you're in your head, you're processing, you're thinking, you're trying to put things into categories so you can come back with some sort of thing. And where I'm going with all this is, because you said criticisms that you've gotten because of jumping around. I think that jumping around is very healthy, especially when you're trying to make that impactful moment where you connect with a student or someone you're talking to. And it requires from the person that's listening to listen. It requires that they actually pay attention to the words you're saying.
Forgive me, I'm going to open the window real quick because...
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
And I'm not going to turn the air conditioner on until another month because you're not allowed to run air conditioner in the winter. I guess it burns out.
Oh, yeah.
I am structured. I told my students recently, I'm like, just so you know, I'm not disorganized.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think you're disorganized.
I said, look, we've got a syllabus. And as far as the left brain, you have a syllabus. Day by day, you have a Moodle or Canvas thing that's laid out week by week. Mm-hmm. I have it totally organized in the left brain. You do the readings, but when we come into the classroom, I want it natural. You've always met somebody like a forced kind of conversation, that awkward.
Yeah.
Hi.
I hate those.
Have you ever wondered what it might like to reach financial success? Hi.
Oh yeah.
Or like you see people they have no riz, like
Yeah.
trying to like get pick up.
Yeah.
It's like, stop thinking. Let
Yeah,
it flow,
exactly.
right?
Get out of the
Let
way.
there be a natural conversation. And
Correct.
that's what the super is about, right? Like you
Correct.
let the Holy Spirit,
Correct.
right? You let your news, you let all these different things. And I'm like, that's what I'm like. You already learned all the readings and we have the structure.
Yep.
Let's just have a conversation like we're doing here. That's not disorganization. That allows everything you've been learning in the left brain to go over to the right brain so that it weaves together a coherent whole, because none of that stuff makes sense until it goes over to the right brain and puts it into a narrative.
Yep.
And you can't force that. And it's the same way with music. That's why jamming is so good.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, we all learned the chords and I know the rhythm and stuff like that. Now go and just let it go.
Yep.
Let it dance. And it's a dance.
That's when you make a mistake when you're jamming, is when you start thinking about stuff.
That's exactly when you make a mistake with.
Or like, what's coming next? What's coming next? And that's always the mistake, man.
Yep.
Always the mistake. Always. The
So, anyways, it's with this. It's how I lecture too.
Yep.
I think that's natural, and it removes the kind of mediation so that we can see each other as human beings, and we can have a real, genuine experience of, and it's fun. That's what I tell. I can't believe my whole life people told me that ADD is a disability.
Yeah, same. I got you. Yeah. I know where you're going with this. Keep going.
I'm like, oh man, hey mom, I got bad news. Went to school, I found out I'm retarded. I got ADD.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
But there's something wrong with me, and I'm like, the more I think about it, I'm like, actually, I think this is the way that you're supposed to think.
Yeah.
It's all flipped, right?
Yep. Correct. Especially if this is what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like in terms of communication, and like it's like a good homily. I think maybe it's structured to some degree. I'm sure priests have some sort of idea of what they're going to talk about, but if they just let it flow and it just kind of comes out, it connects. It connects.
And what is it? Mike from Suicidal Tendencies said, "You're not crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy. You're the one that's crazy."
Yeah.
Right? But this is literally what they're telling poor old Mike there.
Yeah.
All he wanted was a Pepsi.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's the crazy one. Right? Doesn't it feel like? And then you know,
it's a lies.
yeah, it's just like so. What's so funny about that too is that there'll come a day when they'll say that you're crazy, and if you don't think like from Saint, I just blanked on the monk, or monastic Saint. I want to say it.
Which one?
I've been forgetting names all day today, by the way.
It's okay. I'm enjoying this.
St. Anthony.
St. Anthony. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There'll come a
St.
time.
Anthony the Great, the desert father.
Yeah, that they'll say you're like, and I feel it's like, well, that's weird. I was told I had a learning disability, and like, well, you don't think correctly because you're not like us.
Me too. Yep.
I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God I'm not like you. That's. I'm convinced. I'm like, so what ADD really is, it's right brain dominant.
Yep.
I'm like, if you read Dr. Ian McGuck, that's actually the healthy way of the master should be the right brain.
Well, the way that you put it earlier, even based on what Father Paul was saying, like, it's perfect example of what how to balance out an ADHD mind, whatever the calling card they want to call it. It's like the right brain kind of like make sure everything's cool and good to go, and then it goes back and forth to the left and kind of integrates and kind of figures it out.
Yeah.
If you just stay on the one side, that's what they never teach you. If you have a brain like that, it's like, dude, all you got to do is just this thing, like go back and forth from the two, and then you're good.
Yeah.
They just want you to keep focusing on there, drug you up, tell you you're nuts.
Yeah,
then you
that's
lose
exactly what they want to do. There was that. Yeah. Oh, I guarantee you, it's all I found this so. People were asking me, "You believe ADD is really a thing?" I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I think it names something, but it names something that's normal.
Yep, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I found out early on that, and this is how I started, be skeptical of modern science and modern medicine. I started finding psychology was literally creating diseases to sell medications. They're anachronism with the pharmaceutical. So ADD is a perfect.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong. That's actually a healthy brain.
Yep.
Right. But the thing is, we've moved into a society that, which you could see is a natural product of this kind of the Western philosophic experiment. And by West, I don't mean like, beautiful European culture and architecture and stuff like that. I mean a philosophical thing that I was talking about, putting your number twos as ones and ones as number twos, right? Inverting the stuff. Well, eventually, don't you get to a society that champions and says the healthy mind is the left brain stem, quantitative, analytic, propositional, and it's all the other stuff that the crazy is actually saying you're crazy because you're not crazy like us.
Yeah.
And you need to be institutionalized and take all this medication. So what? It's all cognitive, like, what do they call it? It's all behavioristic, right? Behaviorism. Well, with just, and they do these things with biofeedback loops too. You're not the way that we want. We want this left brain kind of STEM, analytic, quantitative, to be the kind of, human par excellence within society. And if you're not that way, we will condition you to be that way.
Yep.
Through what? TV, right? We're talking about all this stuff, the way that we process information. The internet is really what but isn't it interesting that TVs are called programming?
Programs. Yeah.
Programs.
Yeah.
Join the evening programming tonight and get your behaviorism, Pavlovian kind of training. And if that doesn't work, then we give you medications, right? And then they actually use biofeedback loops to program you to think a certain way. Then they'll be like, well, you've got ADD and you're not normal, so you need to go into special programs and have special medication until you can start thinking right. And then there's this kind of soft pressure too.
They also create an environment where you can't succeed or cure it to fix it.
Yes.
Like in terms,
so you design the test, you design the entire
or even the school system. Even in the school system, if you have that, you're going to fail. You're not going to succeed.
You don't succeed in this. Yeah.
Exactly. So they set it up so you have to eventually be diagnosed. I have an issue or a problem. Another thing that they've noticed is people that study it properly is people that they're called late bloomers. They start saying, okay, these are the HD. They become late bloomers in the sense that, even you've described it, and my life is very similar. You take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You try this type of scene, you listen to this music, you read this book, you try all these different things, kind of like you're collecting and experimenting life. Do you know what I mean? And at the end or the middle, you start going, okay, I think I got things figured out. It's an inquisitive mind. It's a curious mind. And they're like, oh, this person's got ADHD. It's like, no, dude, I'm bored of this. Excuse me. I'm bored of this stupid thing that I'm on something else. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sorry, I went off because I can totally relate to everything you're saying.
You see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
It took me forever to figure out, actually, I'm not the weirdo. There's something wrong with you. By the way, Dr. Ian McGurk says, if you're extremely damaged in the left brain, do you know you can function perfectly well in society?
Yeah.
But guess what happens if you're extremely damaged in the right brain? You can't function at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I don't think that my theory with the rise of autism, I swear, I don't remember. There might have been one person I can think back on. It's the description of autism. It's not everybody's autistic.
Yep.
Everybody's on the spectrum.
Yep.
It's so crazy. And I'm like, what happened? And I think it's the way that we process information.
Yep.
So we know that God help us. You've seen the mom, you see them on the airplane, they pop their kid, they give them a tablet.
Yeah.
3, and I'm like, whoa, what is...
I'm in Toronto. Don't forget, I'm in Canada, Toronto. Sorry, excuse me again. Father Deacon Ananias, you got to see what nutso stuff is going on over here, man. like
So
pop
what does
films
that
and
do
whatnot.
to like exposing to people the way that you process that kind of information and stuff like and notice it gets shorter and shorter. Now there's a great scene because you notice that like all the most popular apps are like Snapchat, TikTok, like all these they only stay up, right? People can't hold their attention, so the information has to be processed faster and faster. It's given to you right through these kind of, oh, this is the music you like, here's a suggest, right? There's no time to process it,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Because it's not meant to get you to know stuff,
Correct.
right? It's to program you. So you
Correct.
just, right? Okay. So do you remember the 80s movie Lawnmower Man? I mean, movie?
Yeah.
Lawnmower Man?
Of course. Yeah.
So they take the slow boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what do they do? It's so ahead of its time. I cannot believe it. This is right when VR was coming out. So there's technology, okay, information, and then what do they give him? Drugs.
Yep.
And what do? They turn him from a slow boy into like a genius. Then there's this end scene, and Pierce Bronson like is it Brosnan? Bronson?
Pierce Bronson.
Bronson, yeah.
Yeah.
He's the scientist, right? And he's realized he's made a mistake. Like he's let the genie out of the boat. It's like, because what's interesting is he actually starts getting a God complex. Do you remember that? He thinks he's God.
Yeah.
But he's just downloading like more and more information. At the end, there's a really interesting scene. He's trying to get him to stop because he can see that he's destroying himself. And he says, you need to stop. And he couldn't process that, the lawnmower man. He was like, why? He's totally thinking in terms of efficiency. More information,
Yep.
the better, the faster, and Pierce Bronson, go back to the movie, he says, no, there's something to be said about the slow assimilation of information, because that's what leads to knowledge. I was talking to my boss, the chair. He says, great guy. The last thing we want as philosophy professors, at least us, is for you students to have more information in your heads. You want to go do that? Go into a different department.
Yep.
We want you to have knowledge and wisdom, and that takes time.
Yep.
So what we have is a scenario where there is no knowledge. There is no wisdom. Everything is just processed faster and faster. I read a statistic, years back that like up to 85%, I don't know if that's the exact number, have no serious introspection. Same number has no inner monologue.
Yes, I was just gonna.
I tried this with my students the other day. I just took a simple sentence and I'm like,
That's
have you ever
crazy.
thought about
I know. Yeah.
what
What
this
happened?
word means? Never thought about that. I'm like, you've never thought about this. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, add
That
medication
troubles
on that.
me.
Isn't that crazy?
Because the first time I didn't realize that there were people that didn't have inner dialogue. It's crazy. And then when someone brought it up and I was like asking people and they're like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like you don't have.
Yeah, I thought it was misunderstanding the question. I'm like, there's no way.
Exactly. There's
like,
no way.
I thought that was just thinking. I'm like, I don't. So
It's crazy. It's scary, man.
we live in a fragmented world. There is no community. And I think, interesting enough, I had this experience where, was it in November? I went back to California. No, it wasn't November. It was just recent for my parents' 50-year wedding anniversary. Every time I go back into Southern California, I have higher and higher levels of anxiety, and like I see stuff that I grew up there, and it's because I'm living now in Montana, right? Like there's not a lot of people. Everything's slowed down, right? Talking about the slow assimilation of knowledge, we're not all crammed into a city. And I had a really interesting experience. My godson and I went surfing, and I could not believe how many people were at the beach. Or just everywhere on the freeway. And I felt more disconnected than ever. I'm like, you bring more people into contact with one another. I was having these weird kind of like thoughts like, that's actually a real person.
Mm-hmm.
They have a real like job and like a family, a whole life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it had this appearance of everything was unreal.
Yep.
Like it was just like almost, it was too much to process. And here, just like technology is supposed to bring us together, and yet we're more unconnected than ever. The city is like that.
Absolutely. It's a technology.
Because it's a modern phenomenon, right?
Yep.
And everybody has different lives, different politics, different religions, and different ethos. And I noticed something. Nobody looks at each other.
You know what? I'm sorry to jump in on this just because I spent 4 years in Mexico. I left Canada when all the stuff went super crazy in 2020. And I spent 4 years in Mexico and never came back. I hadn't come back. And I came back last year in the summer, so it hasn't even been a year. And first of all, it's not the same place that I left. And because I wasn't here boiling like a frog like everybody else, I saw a complete difference in everybody's behavior, all of that, just complete chaos. And that's something that me and my nephew, we were in Mexico together, and a bunch of other people, nobody looks at each other. Like they kind of weren't already before, but it wasn't like to this degree. And it's like men to men, women, everybody. Nobody makes eye contact. It's freaky. It's freaky.
Weird.
Yeah.
And here, we wave at each other. We look at each other.
Yeah.
And, we have a life together. We have an invested interest. And I don't know every single body in the 30,000 person city that we live in, but I know a lot of people. I'm in the community, and it feels like a community. My wife was joking with me. I'm like, wouldn't it be funny, sweetheart, if I went and did like street debates and went to bars and stuff like that, and be like, hey, have you ever thought about? And she's like, no. She's like, we have to live in this town with people. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. See, you can do this stuff on the internet because we don't share a life together.
Yeah.
It's like, who
back
cares?
to the bully thing.
I actually have to live with these people.
Correct.
And they have to live with me. And I'm like, oh, that changes everything. They're all real.
Yeah.
My decisions have real consequences. And I didn't feel that way. When I went back to California, I'm like, nothing feels real. Like there's no way there's this many people that actually, these are real people that God knows, and they have their life. And I felt so disconnected. But isn't that a vision of the modern world?
Yep.
Through technology, all these different things, then we give them drugs, right? And then we do what? We say, you know what a successful person is a left brain stem, efficient worker, kind of, not a thinker, not somebody that has curiosity. I mean, look at that. Yep. And I was thinking, well, maybe that's just because I'm a philosopher. That's not true. I started thinking back on when I was younger. I'm like, I thought about stuff like that.
Same.
Well, that's a weird sounding word. I wonder what that means.
Same. Yeah.
So I'm like, no, it's not because I'm a philosopher. That's the way that you're supposed to be, and the world has broken us and fragmented us. And now, is it any surprise that we have a rise in autism? Autism is not the way that people, it is, I'm sorry, guys, for the woke, this would be like, it's actually a superpower. Yeah, I saw that. You've been trying to program us with X-Men that are literally mutants.
Yeah.
It's trying to say that literally genetic and neurophysiological abnormalities are actually superpower. What do they say now? You can't even call it. It's neurodivergent.
Divergent. Yeah.
I'm like, what a joke, dude.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's really. I have a friend. You think it's not a disability? Go talk to my buddy.
Yep.
That has a nonverbal autistic, and ask him if it's a superpower.
Yep. Correct.
Like, this is so stupid.
It's so stupid. Yeah.
And we did this. We actually created. It's not the way a human being is supposed to, and it poses huge problems, both in learning, but in the church too.
Oh yeah.
Think about this.
Yeah.
How do I learn theology? Well, it's all chat GPT, and I quote mine and blah, blah, blah. And everything is left brain.
Yep.
And, we in our Discord, somebody asked, why don't we have a flow chart on that? I'm like, because it promotes autism. That's why. That's why we don't have flow charts.
Really? Someone asked
Well, I need to see every possibility is eliminated to make sure that I'm sure in what I actually believe. I'm like, that's not how it works.
I shouldn't laugh.
It does. It encourages and promotes autism. I'm like,
Oh boy.
and especially with religion and God. I mean, they're really, and I talked to an autistic person because I wasn't getting it. I'm like, kind of odd group that I've never seen before, that the more you and I think about something, the clearer something becomes.
Yeah.
Not for an autistic person.
That's a good point.
They actually get, the more they think about it, the more confused they get.
That's a good point.
And it's like, it seems they all get it. I remember I got called up when I was in California by the assistant to the pastor at St. Paul's Greek Orthodox Church. And they were like, hey, we've got this kid. He grew up in the church. And then he went to college and took some philosophy classes and doesn't believe in God. I'm like, shocker. No, I've never heard that one before. How could that possibly be?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I couldn't think of a better person to call up than you as being clergy and a philosophy professor. So anyways, we meet up at the church. And he's autistic. And he goes through all the arguments for the existence of God. He's like, this is how they don't. And he's just super analytic, left brain.
Yep.
And I said, you're right. You're right about it. Every single one of those arguments is garbage. Mm-hmm. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. So I gave him the transcendental argument for the existence of God. Mm-hmm. And what did he do? Mm-hmm. This is before I knew about they have like this weird thing about with flowcharts.
I was gonna say flowcharts.
He writes out this like logical flowchart, and I was actually like really impressed. I was like, he's like, so this is how we know that God exists. And I'm like, I said, I've never seen anybody get the transcendental argument that fast. Well, that's pretty impressive. And he literally drew out a flowchart. Mm-hmm. The transcendental argument, it takes a while to kind of like get it, and it's kind of like a Gestaltian shift. Once you see it, you just see it. But I was just like, wow, man, that's pretty cool. Only to next day I get like a 10-page email.
That's it.
About like, I was thinking more about like the more he thought, either it was, and the other thing too, it's like they press reset, whatever knowledge that they gained, and they're like, I got it. Mm-hmm. It's like the next day they literally press reset, and they're back over, and they don't have a way to kind of communicate. So like if I was telling you something and you're like, I don't get it. Mm-hmm. And I'd be like, okay, well, let me explain another way. Imagine a chicken egg or I give some analogy. Autistic people can't do that.
No, yeah, it's true. It's true.
They just repeat the same. So that's why they go over, and it's kind of biofeedback, the same thing over and over again. Yeah. And so I couldn't figure out why this was happening. And then I had a conversation with an autistic person that said, the reason why you're not understanding this, you think that the problem's intellectual.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
They said it's not at all. It comes from an irrational anxiety and fear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like this insecurity.
Okay.
And we think that if we just, rationally go through a flow chart and eliminate every possibility,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
But they said, we don't know. That's to explain that emotion. I've been like, actually have fear.
Yeah, the fear makes sense. Like, it's almost like they want to make sure that they're not going to make a mistake even, and they don't want to experience it and just kind of get out of the way. But they
can't put that language of me talking to you about fear. That's a right brain.
Yeah.
So it comes off very intellectual.
Yeah, yeah.
And so if the problem's not an intellectual problem, the solution's not going to be. And I didn't get that because I was always answering the left brain. I'm like, oh, that's not the problem.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like, it's, and so that's what I was saying. I'm like, that's not how you know God. And none of that's going to get rid of your fear. Okay. Mm-hmm. And is this weird thing for some reason, because it's the biggest issue. Does God exist? Right? There's so much weight on that. They're terrified. Mm-hmm. A lot of people might be terrified. I've got to know.
I've always had a hard time even wrapping my mind around someone that truly is an atheist. Or
They're not.
because I know.
That's what I mean. I think it's just an emotional thing that comes up and a doubt, like, what if?
Yeah, but I'm saying like maybe it's just the way I grew up or whatever. Like no matter what weird stuff I thought or believed in my life, I never questioned, is there a God? Never.
Yeah,
Like,
me either. I
doesn't even
can't.
compute.
I don't know.
It doesn't make
I don't know.
sense.
Yeah, I can't relate. So
it's like when I first heard the transcendental argument from you guys, actually, like you, Jay, and a bunch of others, it's like, yeah, it makes sense, like whatever. And then I heard someone else trying to like argue it, and I was like, that I don't understand how you're like. I had a harder time trying to understand how someone can't. I don't mean can't see it because like yeah, I could see how it could take someone a minute, but like you can't refute it. Like there's no like it just doesn't make sense to me, like how like that part never made sense to me. Like I just still can't get it. Like I could see if your ego takes over and you don't want to give in to the argument. I get that. Like that's your ego or fear of being wrong or whatever. But like genuinely the people that kind of just don't want to like open up to that probability, like all you can kind of conclude is either we don't know, but there's something, or there's God. Like those are the only two conclusions I can see logically speaking.
this relates to a question somebody asked me. Do you have any uncertainties? Like, do you ever have these kind of fears that what if it's not, the orthodoxy is not true? And I'm like, no. And I'll tell you why. Because I went to the pharmacy and they just gave me a bunch of medication to stop thinking. And no, I'm kidding.
Lobotomized.
I lobotomized myself. Everybody go watch. Speaking of movie, we got to put this in the class, Clockwork Orange.
Oh, okay. It's funny, and I gotta make sure that Buck's in there because he was telling me how much, and I will bring out my box set when we do that. Oh, you'll get a freak out. Clockwork Orange.
Yeah,
okay.
that's
okay.
So cool.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Why am I absolutely confident? I wasn't when I was a Protestant. You know why?
Why?
Because all my and not for the existence of God, like I never, like I said, doubted that, but like theological stuff, ecclesial stuff like that, I was constantly afraid of like, what if I'm wrong? Like, what if this isn't, you know why? It was completely dependent on me in my system.
Okay.
That I was building in the left brain.
Okay.
And guess what? I knew I'd been wrong about stuff. So what if I'm wrong about the biggest stuff? And it was terrifying.
Yeah.
Do you know why I don't have any doubts because I live with God and the saints. And it's no longer dependent on propositions and systems and stuff like that. You know, if somebody is like, how do you know? Aren't you afraid of that your wife might do or say, or like she's not actually who she says she is? And I'm like, no. Why? Well, because I just drew out a logical flow chart and I eliminated every possibility, right? I mean, how insane is that? It's because I live with, I know her.
I had
it's no longer mediated.
Drawing it on a whiteboard. See, that's how I know.
Yeah. It's not dependent on my fallible systems and propositions and, analysis. It's like, it's just there. Yeah. And so that's why I've seen the saints do stuff. I've seen the miracles. I've had the immediate experience. And so anything I say true or make arguments and tag all that, that's all secondary. It's only true insofar as the reality that it represents is actually true. Correct. So that's why I discourage. I'm like, that's not how you know God. I can put it, you want me to put it in, and the people were like, this just shows the issue's not actually intellectual. Somebody's like, well, I want to just see all the I literally made a 24 premise argument. I put in modal logic. I did all this. Do you think people were like, oh yeah, that makes sense now? They just get more confused than ever, right? And I
give up, man. I don't know how people keep doing this.
So that's why I tell them, I'm like, no, that's not how we can talk about that. Yeah. But in a secondary sense. But no, in order to know something, this is literally insane. That you don't have to eliminate every possible. Imagine I always use the gas station. What if I said that with the gas station? How do I know it's a real gas station? I mean, it could be like a front. What if it's a black ops and they're just like, how do I know it's even gas, right? What if it is a gas station, but every time I drive away, it turns into a taco stand or something like that? I mean, how can I really be sure? Wouldn't you end up in a loony bin?
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I can't know, and I can't trust that it's a gas station unless I do a logical flow chart and eliminate every single possibility. So anything else in life,
the dark
you'd be
beauty
like,
of solipsism. Sorry, go ahead.
you'd literally be considered insane.
Of course.
But then we're like, well, why would we expect that with God?
Yeah.
I'm expected to answer every single possible objection. No, I really can. If you want me to.
Yeah.
I could do that if you want, but that's not necessary, right? It's like, and we don't hold that standard to anything. And guess what? It's not going to get you to know. Like, you are not going to find peace. I've never seen it happen.
Yep, it's true.
No matter how left brain and analytic and quantitative that I get, that it gives somebody the peace and assurance that God exists. So that's why I banned it. I'm like, it's not productive for your autism and your spiritual life. What do you need to do? Come, taste, and see.
Yep.
Lay aside your systems.
Yep.
And experience God.
Yep.
Be transformed by the renewing of the mind by the Holy Spirit, right? Get all you're the problem.
Yep.
And by the way, if we don't realize that, I've seen more problems, people leaving the church, if they don't realize I'm actually the biggest problem.
100%.
Why are we in the church?
Yeah, we're sick.
Well, obviously to get the best logical flow charts and systemization of, because you're sick and messed up and you want to be healed and you're the biggest problem.
Correct. Yeah.
And if you're pointing at everything else and this is like, you're not going to be like, I just don't understand why people join the church sometimes if they don't realize I need help. Like, I'm not an expert on, I don't know.
Amen.
Stop getting out of the way. So stop hitting yourself.
Yes.
That's all that's going on. Like, and when you remove those things, then just like the conference, God works. All I have to do for the conference is get out of the way.
Yeah. I'm learning that slowly. Yep. It's a key point is understanding the hospital and looking at it that way and approaching it that way. Without that, I don't think anybody, whether they're trying to be overly intellectual or even if they walk in and be like, I'm just going to feel my way through this. I'm just there are the vibes. It's like they're equally ridiculous because without knowing you're the problem, that you're sick and you're going to the hospital of the soul to kind of get, it just won't happen. The want isn't there. It's like, it's half of the problem with explaining everything logically with someone is they don't actually want to get to that point where you're at. They want to just like look at all the holes. And as you said, kind of do all the flowchart things, list everything out. And then at the very end, when they have to make that deduction, then maybe they might come to some sort of terms. But
and I'm glad that God put me, because I've always wondered, I'm like, why did God throw me in the hell of academia? Why was I chosen for it?
That's a good question. What
wow, God.
What'd you think?
If God exists, why come I'm a philosophy professor?
That's a good question. What'd you conclude?
Keep your mind in hell and despair not. Like he sends
Saint Solomon, yeah.
He sends, and I'm actually apostolos, right? I'm sent as clergy of apostolic succession. I've been ordained and I'm sent. And God sends people in the places that are dirty.
Yep.
Where does Christ go?
Yep.
Where do the apostles go? They go to heal the sick, right? God must have, in his divine foreknowledge and providence, seen all my experiences in an eternal now and was like, this guy's we're going to make him a philosophy professor and throw him in the hell of academia that he might save a few souls, that we'll use him for. But what I find really interesting too is that what way dude, it's not just those who are in academia. They're all lost. Okay, we're not going to save anybody. No, I'm kidding. But like conversations like this, well, oh, that's real sweet. You know, if somebody was saying this stuff, like it's all a bunch of nonsense and word wizardry and semantic sorcery and all this kind of inverted stuff. And you're not going to find knowledge and like going this path from somebody who's not there. Don't you think I have a little bit of street cred?
Yep. Yep.
I'm fighting in the trend. I know what it's like to be.
Yep.
I am a philosopher. That's why I could. It's really funny for somebody to be like, "What do you mean I can't know God through arguments?" For somebody that's never studied logic or, and I'm like, I can't. I'm like, you want me to dance? You wanted me to do a modal dance? Do all these? I can do it.
Yeah.
And that's why I can tell you,
Yeah.
you're not going to find God there.
That's a good point.
I think that gives me more street cred, and God must have saw that and be like, "Well, this guy's going, he's going in there." And it's all the experience.
It's probably why you had your Fight Club moment when you were younger, and I'm not even joking. You were just they grabbed this kid needs to learn how to like do his thing. Because when you were talking about that, one of the first things I thought about is like I've watched you guys do the apologetics thing. I don't know how you have the patience for it, you, Jay, and a bunch of others, and I've seen like you two going. And I'm like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep my cool. I don't know how you guys do it, but I think you learned a lot from those early days of having to learn
and training too.
Yeah,
I mean,
training. Yeah,
the groups that Father Paul and I were in.
Oh yeah.
The apologetic group, because not everybody was Christian there, and you had weirdo Christians in there too. All kinds of different groups that, especially Calvinists, were like really fun to argue with. And you had to learn that. And then I think another experience too is that when I went to Thomas Aquinas College, the classical great books liberal arts program, every single classroom was a debate. Do you know there was no lectures?
Okay. Like
literally every. What's that?
It was set up that way. Oh, okay.
Every classroom, whether it was science, math, philosophy, theology. The only one that you didn't get in a lot of debate, but sometimes was Latin, like language.
Okay.
Unless it went into kind of a philosophical conversation about like structures of language or something like that, you like. But every single class everybody was debating each other. I mean, a lot of people didn't speak up because they were intimidated and stuff like that. But you know, you dealt with frustrating people. Like I had to learn to kind of remain calm. And I had a lot of experience with it. And God must have used that as well. For sure. But it is hard. It's it takes a lot of it probably takes a certain kind of character, like you said, certain types of experiences in life, and then practice.
Yep. That's true.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of you guys evolve, and I mean that in a positive way in the last couple of years, especially in the last year, I would say. I've seen a lot of you guys going out there doing this. It's like you've all geared down in terms of like when you're gonna snap. Because I've seen it. I mean, it's inevitable. It's gonna happen, right? But that's toned down, and then the peace actually seems to be there a little bit more, if I could put it that way. And it's kind of, and I've seen it with a bunch of you guys that do apologetics, in particular you, Jay, even Andrew recently. I've been watching, like keeping their calm, but then also there's like a form of peace. It almost seems like you guys found some humor in it, like a little bit extra humor where you kind of found some way to like let off the steam or something. Am I wrong in saying that?
Yeah, experience too. It's just like you deal with it enough that you kind of learn stuff and you can kind of laugh. I was teaching logic class yesterday. We're doing debate reviews and going over debates and stuff. And I'm like, I use humor. It's rhetoric, like to mock your opponent's argument.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of time and experience. Like it takes a kind of natural talent too, but like, it might look easy, but it's just because you've been doing, you learn certain things, like, and you've been like, and when you go away from a debate, you kind of think about stuff, and like you're like, and then you're like, you know what, this is a good name for what. But you know what? There's got to be an element of high school experience. Do you remember, like, comeback lines and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
And
man.
it was all this kind of. This was kind of an interesting power play dynamic.
Yeah.
Your friends were always trying to one up you.
Yes. The razzing,
Like,
also
they diss
razzing.
you, and you've got to come back with like, "Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that
yeah.
you know, your mama, blah blah, you know, and whatever
true.
the, you know, oh, really? Well, you look like a. That's hilarious coming from a man that has you know, like a face like a wildebeest or something. Like, and there was always this kind of like disses and comebacks, and they'll be like, your friends like, oh man,
Yeah.
but you kind of learn.
It's
There's
true.
a lot of that too.
It's true.
That probably, and my friends and I were really good at it.
Yeah.
Like,
Mine too.
we practiced it all the time. And so who knows, maybe that became part later on in debates, like kind of learning kind of rhetoric.
It's a good point. That's a really good point. Okay, let's wow. We like
I know we covered so much.
this episode is gonna be sick. Like it's gonna be awesome. Like there's a lot here, man, in a good way. Father Deacon Ananias, thanks for joining me. But before we go, please make sure to plug Montanica and anything else you have coming up. And I'm gonna do my best. Actually, we're talking about it. We had a pre-production meeting today, and we have the conference on the list of got to get Mano there. So maybe we'll see each other face to face yet again soon. Go for it. What you got going on?
So obviously we got the Montanica. Tickets are selling fast. I got to later on tonight close the we're actually sold out of VIP tickets. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Okay.
In part because the VIP's experience is going to include the Georgian Super Dinner that's going to be led by John Heers. So very much like we had in Florida. But in terms of space, because those include all the speakers, we have 7 speakers. Obviously, we can see that, as John Heers had said, you really don't want a Supra bigger than 25 people. So, and we're limited space, so I got to cut that off. But we do have roughly about probably 50 or 60 tickets left. Okay. But that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That we're selling out that fast this early. So don't procrastinate. We've got a great lineup of speakers on the topic of nature, on different aspects of nature. So, for example, we have, let me just pull up we have, I'll be going first. I'll be talking about creation and deification and Demetrius Stanley's Orthodox concept of nature. We have John here. It's going to be the nature of hospitality and community. My godson, Tony Baumkamp, which is he's a biologist, is going to talk about, ecology and, animals and stuff like that, and the wetlands. He's done a lot of kind of stuff to, and the distinction between kind of East and West and the way that we view nature out there. Then we have, His Eminence Metropolitan Jonah. We have Dr. Bruce Seraphim Fultz, Proto-Deacon Patrick Mitchell, the nature of male and female, and then ending with Dr. David Patrick Harry, who will be talking about, the nature of the human being and threats to, transhumanism and stuff like that. So get your tickets while they last. And then and we do have, if you want to come early, we have 2 unofficial events. Father Russell on Tuesday, I won't be there because I'm prepping for the conference, is going to be doing a divine liturgy on top of Red Mountain, which is 10,000 feet. Have you ever done?
Oh, wow.
Who's done it?
Wow.
A divine liturgy. Now, it looks gnarly, but you can basically drive all the way up to the top. It's like a beginner's hike. He said like an hour hike or something like that. No, not an hour hike, a mile hike. It's not bad. And then one of the most wonderful experiences, a divine liturgy Wednesday morning at our Wolf Creek Chapel. That's a parishioner that lives, it's about 2 hours from Butte. It's about an hour from where I live in Helena, on 40 acres. It's all off grid, tucked back in the mountains. And he's built this chapel out of all the own trees on his.
Get out of here. Really?
Yeah. And it's like a hobbit's, like it even looks like is blessed by Bishop Maxim. People have come last and they're just like, this is incredible. I'm like, yeah, it's amazing. So we'll do that. And then, of course, the monastery tour Thursday at noon. Those are unofficial. So you're welcome to come here early. There's plenty of stuff. And in the evenings, obviously, we'll have meetups and explore Butte and stuff like that. So plugging that in the Montanica. Also coming up is we're going to launch some more patristic faith college courses. We're going to restart some of the old ones again, but we have 2 new ones too. Since I'm going to be teaching this philosophy and film at Carroll College, to also mirror that. Speaking of mirrors, while we're going through on the patristic faith courses, and then political philosophy too. All of those courses have been able to be transferred to colleges. You can contact. We found a way to kind of sidestep the accreditation by just reaching out to one of your local college deans or chairs and be like, look, he's a university professor. This is accredited. It fits all the requirements. Would you accept it? A lot of our students have been able to do that. We haven't had any students been told no, basically. So anyways, they're a 16-week course. You can take them at your own speed, but it's designed like the amount of materials is 16-week. We have live office hours every week, and it's cheaper than any college that you could get. So that's my plug. I hope to see you guys at Montanica. And the music's going to be great. We forgot to talk about the music. Yeah, so you definitely want to experience that. That's it. That is all.
I hope I can pull this off. I think I can, and I'll probably see you. I'll see you there. I'm pretty sure.
Awesome.
All right, brothers. Thank you so much for doing this, Father Deacon Ananias. I really appreciate this.
Yeah.
It's been a long time in the making, and it was definitely worth it. This is great. This is great.
Glory to God. Yeah.